Monster Hunter has always been close to my heart, with each title bringing us a bunch of content and challenges. But sometimes these challenges can be tough, and so hunters require builds to help take them on. So I'm Darcblade, bringing you a tank lance build for the Omega Planetes hunt in Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, as always, if you find these builds helpful or informative, please consider leaving a like on the video, as well as subscribing to the channel, as it allows me to bring you more videos like this. It also greatly helps with my own mental health. Now, builds, sometimes referred to as mix sets, are a combination of different armor pieces and decorations, which in turn grant us skills to aid us in hunts. This build in particular is a tank build that is designed to take on Omega Planetes with the lance. Omega Planetes is a unique hunt in Monster Hunter Wilds, as it utilizes mechanics found in Final Fantasy XIV and applies them to Monster Hunter Wilds. Thus, certain roles like tank, healer, support, DPS are desired to take on the hunt successfully. This lance build is a little bit of a mixed set in terms of skills, utilizing some DPS skills, survival skills, utility skills, and defensive skills. So let's jump into this. Now, as for the armor, first of all, I've gone for the numerous Crown Beta, which is the Zoe Shear helm. I've then gone for the Arc Vulcan Beta, which is the Arc Veiled chest, the Ray Sam Braces Gamma, which is the Arch-Tempered Ray Dell gauntlets, the Arc Vulcan Coil Beta, which again is the Arc Veiled waist, and the Duna Wild Greaves Gamma, which is the Arch-Tempered Duna legs. As for the talisman, now this is down to personal preference, as to be honest, you probably have access to a better talisman through the random talisman system found in the game. However, I simply went for a crafted one, which is interchangeable depending on your own playstyles. So I've gone for a Chainblade charm too. You can replace this with what you wish. This is completely changeable if you so desire. As for the mantle, this is down to personal preference, but I would strongly recommend taking the Rocksteady mantle for this hunt, as when it comes to taking down the Nursilla clone, having the Rocksteady mantle on during that portion of the hunt really helps when it comes to dealing uninterrupted damage to the spider. As for the weapons, I've simply gone for two versions of the Artian Lance, the Skyscraper, one thunder, one fire, but don't stress too much about the reinforcement bonuses on them. Now, as for the decorations, you have quite a few that you can play around with here. First of all, for the decorations on the weapons. First of all, I've gone for a Bolt Iron War decoration, I've then gone for a Razor Sharp Iron War decoration, and then a Shield Iron War decoration. This will give us maxed out Bolt Attack, maxed out Razor Sharp, maxed out Guard, and maxed out Guard Up. As for your secondary fire weapon, I've gone for a Critical Jaw, Attack Jaw, and Blaze Iron War Jaw. This will give us a few points in critical boost, max out fire attack, gives a few points in attack boost, and a point in guard. You don't have to worry too much about maxing out guard and guard up when you're using the fire weapon, as you're using it primarily to take down the Nursilla clone as quickly as possible. Thus, I've invested more in DPS skills for when it comes to using the fire lance. As for the decorations on the armor, first of all, I've gone for Tenderizer Jaws to max out Weakness Exploit, Jumping Jaws to max out Evade Extender, Physique Jaws for a few points in the Constitution skill, Destroyer Jaw for a point in Part Breaker, Challenger Jaws to max out Agitator, and Protection Jaws to max out Divine Blessing. So if you've done what I've done here, you'll have a build with the following skills. First of all, you'll have Thunder Attack at level 3 when using your main weapon, which is Thunder Weapon. This increases the Thunder rating and thus the Thunder damage of this build. You'll then have Razor Sharp at level 3, a skill that reduces sharpness loss, well, actually negates it 50% of the time. This helps manage our sharpness. You can replace this if you want, especially if you've got multiple sharpness increases when reinforcing your Artian weapons. Next up, you'll have Guard at level 3, which greatly decreases the impact of attacks and reduces stamina depletion by 50% when it comes to blocking attacks. This is essential for when it comes to tanking Omega Planetes. And then you'll have Guard Up at level 3, which allows you to block unblockable attacks and reduces the damage taken when blocking said attacks by 80%. Again, this is another essential skill for Omega Planetes, as it does have quite a few unblockable attacks. As for the skills on your fire weapon, you'll have Attack Boost at level 3, increasing the raw attack of this build. You'll then have Critical Boost at level 3, which increases the crit damage of our attacks when they crit a monster. You'll then have Fire Attack level 3, increasing the fire rating and thus fire damage of this build. And then finally you'll have Guard Up at level 1, reducing the stamina cost of blocks and such slightly. As for the skills that are related to your armor, first of all you'll have Weakness Exploit at level 5. Weakness Exploit is a skill that increases our affinity when we're attacking monster weak points. This can be up to 50% should a monster weak point be wounded. You'll then have Agitator at level 5. Agitator is a skill, a buff that kicks in whenever a monster becomes enraged. When this happens, it will increase our raw attack and base affinity. You'll then have Divine Blessing at level 3, a wonderful defensive skill that gives us a percentage chance at taking reduced damage should we take a hit from a monster. And although it's only a chance at taking reduced damage, this kicks in quite a bit. It has definitely kept me alive in many situations. It's much more cheaper to invest in Divine Blessing rather than defense boost, to be honest. Anyway, next up is Evade Extender at level 3. This is a kind of optional skill in all honesty. It's a quality of life skill that I tend to favour on all my builds that go up against the Omega Planetes. Evade Extender increases the distance at which you dodge evade, and in the case of the lance, in which you hop. This allows you to dodge out of the way of incoming attacks quite comfortably, countering Omega Planetes' wide radius when it comes to some of its attacks. Anyway, next up is Quick Sheath at level 3. A byproduct of the armor we're wearing, but a useful skill that allows us to sheath our weapon incredibly quickly. This is great for if we do mistime a block and take a hit. You'll then have Constitution at level 2, a optional skill in all honesty. You don't have to take this, but this does help when it comes to reducing the stamina cost of blocking attacks. You can invest more in stamina reliant skills if you wanted to, as the MRV, missile attack. To block all of its missiles you have to have full stamina. If you have slightly under, then you won't be able to successfully block them all as you'll run out of stamina. Anyway, next up you'll have Flair at level 2. This is another byproduct in all honesty. You can replace this if you wanted to with something else. Stamina reliant skills, for example. It's a skill that makes it easier to create wounds on monsters. However, it doesn't apply to all of your attacks, so its usefulness is limited to some degree. Nonetheless, I've taken this as I will be primarily attacking the head of Omega Planetes, and creating as many wounds on it as possible is very good for survival, as destroying those wounds on the head create more shields, helping us stay alive. I'll then have Recovery Speed at level 2, a byproduct. This is a skill that increases how quickly we get red health back on a health bar. And then finally you'll have Part Breaker at level 1. Would it be nicer to get this a little bit higher for Omega Planetes, but level 1 is still useful as it makes it easier to break monster body parts during the hunt. When we're not tanking and we're off tanking, we should be going for the front legs in order to break them quickly to knock the monster over, as well as giving us the shield generator slinger ammunition. As for the set bonuses, we only have one, which is the Hasten Recovery Arc Veiled Hunger. This is a skill that allows us to generate a small amount of health as we continuously attack a monster. A lot of my tanking builds tend to utilize the Zoshia set bonus, Super Recovery, but with the Zoshia armor set it has a lot of negative fire resistance, which can be detrimental when it comes to Omega Planetes. So I've gone with Hasten Recovery instead. So there we have it, that is the Omega Planetes tanking lance build. You can use other weapons with this build instead of the lance if you wanted to, as all you'll have to mainly do is change the weapons and maybe the talisman. But every weapon out there has pros and cons, no build is perfect. When it comes to this tanking lance build for Omega Planetes, the biggest pro is its survivability. Having maxed out guard up, Divine Blessing, Evade Window, we're able to survive the hunt and tanking quite successfully so long as we're managing our stamina and not being too greedy with our own attacks. On top of that, this build is also quite good at getting the monster's ire. So long as you're attacking the head, thanks to the DPS skills we do have, we're normally able to grab Omega Planetes' attention quite successfully. And the final pro for this build is it's quite an interchangeable build in all honesty. You can swap out the lance for other weapons like the gun lance if you wanted to, so it's very customizable. But of course there are cons. When using the lance, there'll be times where you may run into sharpness issues and thus you start bouncing off of some of Omega Planetes' body parts. And the other con is, unfortunately, you have to manage your stamina quite a bit with this build. Like I said, you can invest in more stamina reliant skills to help you in that regards, or you could utilize dash juice. If not though, just remember to drop your shield to allow your stamina to restore itself at its full pace. Keeping your shield up will stop you from restoring your stamina at a quick pace, so keep this in mind. Otherwise though, this is a fantastic build for tanking Omega Planetes. I've had very little issues with it, and the set should definitely aid you in taking down the monster. Remember though, Omega Planetes, you have to learn the fight itself as well as having a decent build. A build alone isn't going to get you through the hunt. It's going to help definitely, but learning the fight itself and how the monster moves, its attacks, so on and so forth is another key to success. And if you haven't already, there is a complete guide to the Omega Planetes hunt on the channel, so check it out if you are still learning. But until next time, what are your thoughts? Please leave a comment down below. And until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you yet another build for Monster Hunter Wilds, this time a Lance tanking build for Omega Planetes. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.